Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and it's challenge time as Wargaming just announced the Lunar Challenge, where you can attempt to be able to get yourself a tier 8 Chinese premium medium tank for up to free, depending on how much time you have over the next 10 days, starting on Friday. The reward will be the 122 TM, tier 8 Chinese premium medium tank that has really good alpha, and everything about this tank is incredible apart from the damage per minute. But stay tuned to the channel, as you know I will be reviewing this tank in full detail if you want to know my full opinion about it. Today's video instead is going to be focused on the Lunar Challenge itself, what the rewards are, and what your chances are of being able to make it towards stage 10, getting the 122 TM for free. So before I go into the nitty-gritty details of the challenge and let you know exactly how long it's going to be able to take, let me clarify that there is a new way that Wargaming are going to try and monetize, but also reward you for taking part in the Lunar Challenge, and that is that there is Chapter 2. Now, Chapter 2 is going to be a series of 10 one-day only missions that begin on the first day of the challenge for everybody, I guess, who wants to just go and buy it in the premium shop to be able to get some extra loot. You'll be able to unlock Chapter 2 after you've managed to get the vehicle either through your wallet or through completing the challenge itself. The rewards are actually very substantial. You can get yourself universal training manuals. You can also get yourself 3 days of premium for just playing what could be 1 or 2 games, which is very lucrative indeed. My only concern is that we might see some of the grinders even going further and trying to complete the challenge in the first few days so that they can get all of the subsequent rewards from the second chapter. Whether you choose to do that or not is completely up to you, and while the rewards are good in Chapter 2, you don't exactly get a tier 8 premium tank for free like you do in Chapter 1. On the other hand, you do get yourself a special style, as we can see here, if you manage to complete all of the different stages of Chapter 2. And you'll be able to get this one for up to free, depending on how many of the days that you complete. I have to admit, a lot of people are going to hate this style, and while, look, it definitely doesn't appeal to me in a, shall we say, a tanky sense of the word, I have to admit, like, Wargaming have made this one look, it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. It's definitely embellished well enough, and you can clearly see that it's going to be desirable, and Wargaming's ability to be able to create textures and patterns on the vehicles is just getting better and better as the years go on. So once again, big shout out to all of the graphics artists at Wargaming. You're definitely giving us some funky content, even if it is pushing the boundaries as to what is historical in World of Tanks. So this style, as far as I'm aware, is going to cost 5,000 gold if you want to purchase it after unlocking the vehicle. However, for each daily mission that you complete, I believe you get 12.5% off the price of the style, meaning that if you complete 8 out of the 10 days, you're going to get the style completely for free. But who's going to be able to complete 10 stages within the first 2 or 3 days and then complete all of the daily missions? You can't do them after the day is over. You'd have to be insanely dedicated if you want to get not only the vehicle itself, but also the style for free. I'm definitely not going to be doing that on my free-to-play account. I'm going to be taking the whole 10 days to grind this one out. So to make it easier to see, I've taken all of the rewards that you can get for the 122 TM challenge for completing the 10 different stages that you see along here and put them onto an Excel spreadsheet. So there looks like there is 1.68 million credits up for grabs. Now, that is the price as if you sold all of the equipment that you got. However, of course, if you choose to keep the equipment and put it on the tank instead, you're not going to get quite that many credits, but that is the raw value of what each stage is going to be. There are also some premium days up for grabs. We see a premium day for completing stage 4, for completing stage 7, and also for completing stage 9. One of my biggest tips for all of you out there, maybe you free-to-play players who are planning on grinding through the Lunar Challenge, and that is that try and finish the stage that rewards the premium day at the start of your next play session. So if you don't have premium account time, then why not get 16,999 experience, or, you know, close to it. Go to sleep, get well rested, and then the next day that you're planning to play and put in a big session, play that one game. Boom, instantly you'll get the premium day rewarded for completing stage 4, and then hopefully you can try and make some real good progress into stage 5. Or even stage 6 if you're truly dedicated with all the luxuries of a premium account. Apart from that, the rewards you're going to be getting are experience boosters, 300% crew training boosters. You're even going to get some directives like rammers, vents, stabilizers. But one thing to note is that there are actually no credit boosters rewarded for completing any of the stages. And if you want the credit boosters instead, then you're going to have to complete Chapter 2 and purchase the style for the 122 TM. The next thing to mention, as with the previous challenge, there are two different ways to be able to complete it. One is going to be a way for people who are dedicated and want to play the high tier tanks, which they call missions for mastery. The other way is going to be missions for commitment, where you're going to have to play tier 6 and above vehicles and just grind out base experience. Now, if you believe yourself to be one of the most dangerous players on the battlefield and you love playing tier 9 and tier 10, then the missions for mastery are going to allow you to accelerate faster through it. However, if maybe you just want to play your tier 8 premium tanks that you've earned from previous missions, or maybe you've just earned with your hard-earned cash, then you can just grind out experience and get a load of credits at the same time, while hopefully progressing to be able to either get yourself a discount off the final 122 TM price, or alternatively even getting it for free. So every stage that you complete, if you're watching this challenge for the first time and thinking just what it is all about, each stage that you complete gets yourself a 10% discount off the final price of the vehicle. Thus, if you complete 9 stages, you'll get a 90% discount, and then you'll be able to throw in about €6 or so, 5-6 euros, to be able to get the vehicle. You're going to have to complete all 10 stages if you want to be able to get the maximum discount, and the stages get harder and harder and harder. Stage 1 is only 3,000 experience, whereas Stage 6 is 30,000 experience, 10 times harder than Stage 1 was. And Stage 10 is 50,000 experience, which is over half as worse as Stage 6 was from a grinding perspective. So be careful, because if you think, oh, I managed to just do Stage 1 to Stage 3 super easily, I'm going to take a couple days off, this is going to be an easy challenge. Wrong. Once you complete Stage 7, you are only halfway through the challenge. You've still got half to go after you've completed the first 7 out of 10 stages. So a lot of you more dedicated players who are planning on smashing your way through the missions of mastery might be interested about what stages I think are going to take the most and the least time. So interestingly enough, I believe that Stage 1, to try and get a high caliber medal when everybody's playing incredibly defensively, is probably not going to be an opportunity for you to shave off much time. I think it's going to take pretty much the same time to get the 3,000 base experience as it would do to be able to get the high caliber. Nevertheless, I'd probably also think that going Stage 1 in a tier 10 tank destroyer and just trying to be able to get the high caliber, see if you get lucky, and if you don't, then inevitably you'll get to the 3,000 base experience anyway, is also a good way to do it. Stage 2, however, just finish top of your team on damage once. Brilliant opportunity to either do it in a tier 9 or a tier 10 tank. That should be a massive time saver for most players out there compared to the hour that it will take you to grind the 5,000 experience. So next up, this part of my table is kind of a cheat sheet for all of you players out there who are planning to do the missions for mastery. Which ones would I try to focus on, and what tier should I choose to play them in? All right, Stage 1, get a high caliber medal. Well, get in your tier 10 tank destroyer or a tier 9 tank destroyer and just hope for luck. I'd say this stage isn't actually going to save you any time. In fact, I'm estimating it's going to take me exactly the same time, if not more, to be able to grind out the 3,000 free experience anyway, because the grind on Stage 1 is just so easy. All right, Stage 2, top team damage. Well, I'm going to play a tier 10 tank. I think I can probably finish top 1 in 2 games. That's going to save me a massive amount of time compared to the 5,000 grind that it would take me to get through Stage 2. All right, let's talk about Stage 3 now. I think it's going to take me about 6 games to get 850 base experience. Now remember, 850 base experience is only really achievable if you've had a decent enough game and you win. Unless you get a battle hero medal on the loser team, 850 experience is not going to work out well for you. So you've got to try and win as well. It's not enough to just play safe. I'm going to personally do that in tier 9 tanks. I think it'll take me about 6 games to be able to get through that. All right, Stage 4, got to get 4,200 damage 4 times. Got to be in a tier 10 tank, in my opinion, here to be able to pump up the damage. Probably going to play in a tank destroyer or maybe even some high aggressive auto-loading medium tank. I think it'll probably take me 12 games to be able to get through that one, which will save me a massive amount of time compared to the grind on my free-to-play account at least. Stage 5 is 3,200 damage, and you've got to be top of the team, also 9 times. Now, if you didn't have to be top, then I'd probably do this in a tier 9 tank, because 3,200 damage is not the biggest challenge. But to be top, you're also competing with everyone else. So I think this is actually going to probably take me about 27 games. Still a nice one to be able to go through. Stage 6 is an interesting one because you've effectively got to do stage 1 5 times, i.e. get 5 high caliber medals. This one, I'd probably play tier 10 tank destroyers, see if I get 1 or 2 high calibers early on, and if I don't get them, then I'll probably give up and just go and play tier 8 tanks and try and grind my way through the rest of it. The next stage, stage 7, is actually the last one that I would recommend to do from a mission for mastery sense, and that is because you have to get 4,200 damage 12 times, i.e. you've got to do stage 4 3 times over. I personally think this will take me about 36 games to do, and the time savings are not nearly as good as the other stages. And then for stage 8, 9, and 10, I would recommend that you probably give up on tier 9 and tier 10, unless you really enjoy playing that tier anyway and you want to grind the experience at that tier, because I feel top experience in the whole game 14 times, top team damage 27 times, and top team experience 35 times is going to take you pretty much as long as it probably would do if you were grinding your tier 6, tier 7, or tier 8 vehicles, especially if they're premium and you've got nice crews in them. So now for all the grinders out there who don't plan on playing tier 9 and tier 10, how long is it going to take you to be able to get through all of the stages? Well, remember, there's 2 very important things to take into account here. This 50,000 experience doesn't include a premium account. It doesn't include 2 times. It doesn't include 5 times. It doesn't include any events, anything like that. This is raw base experience, i.e. the number that you see on the team sheet after the battle. Secondly, to be able for it to count, you have to finish in the top 10 players on your team. That means that 1/3 of the players in the game won't actually make any progress towards the mission marathon. Consequently, this means that the best players are going to be consistently finishing in the top 10 and their experience will count, while the worst players are going to be not consistently finishing in the top 10, and quite often none of the experience that they've gained is actually going to count in the battle. This in turn means that the grind can get really, really hard for not the best players. As I estimate that somebody who gets 100 base experience is probably only going to finish in the top 10 half the time, whereas somebody who gets 400 base experience, I think they're going to finish in the top 10 2/3 of the time, while somebody who's getting 600 base experience, I think is finishing in the top 10 3/4 of the time, whereas the really awesome players out there who are getting 800 base experience are probably finishing in the top 10 85% of the time. Now, I've taken this coefficient and I've effectively multiplied the amount of time that you would have to spend, and the result is this cheat sheet here, which effectively shows you, depending on how much average base experience you get, how many games you're going to have to play, how many games per day you're going to have to play, and importantly, how much time in hours per day you're going to have to play to be able to complete this mission. So always hilarious. If you get 100 base experience, you're going to have to play 50 hours every day to be able to complete this challenge. Yeah, I don't think the math quite works out there. If you get 300 base experience, you're going to have to play, I estimate, 1,389 games. That is 139 games per day. And that means you're going to have to play for nearly 14 hours every day for a 10-day period to be able to earn the tank. If you're like me on your free-to-play account, you're sometimes grinding your good vehicles, sometimes grinding your terrible vehicles, and you're getting 600 base experience, then you're going to have to play for 5.5 hours per day to be able to complete this challenge. However, if you're like me on my main account where I'm really slamming it, I'm playing my great vehicles and I've got good crews for them and then not playing any of those stock tanks and I've got all of the advantages that I need, then maybe you're going to get 800 base experience on average per game, and then you'll have to play for 3 2/3 hours. That's not too bad over a 10-day period to be able to get the tank completely for free. And so just like life, World of Tanks is not fair. The better players don't have to spend that much time to be able to get the vehicle for free, whereas the mediocre players are going to have to spend a huge amount of time if they want to get the vehicle completely for free. So next, I've got a table for you that effectively shows how many euros per hour you will get from grinding rather than paying to be able to get the tank. So for stage 1, everybody should do that. In my opinion, you're effectively going to be saving 10 euros per hour if you were to play instead of pay. Stage 2, 6 euros per hour. Then you're down to 3.5 for stage 3, and then this is really where it starts to drop off massively. Stage 4, 5, and 6, you're going from 1.85 euros per hour down to €1 per hour to if you're seriously thinking about trying to save the money at that point. Then stage 7, you're down to less than €1 per hour. And then at stage 10, you are saving 0.63 euros per hour for every hour of your life that you dedicate into World of Tanks instead of getting out your credit card. Yeah, I think you can see where it starts to become a little bit more attractive to pay to be able to get the vehicle than to sink a huge amount of your time into it. I think the system, all in all, is good. Obviously, it's a little bit predatory in a way that Wargaming want to try and encourage you to feel that you've invested that time, and then why wouldn't you spend the 5, 10, 15, 20 euros at the end to be able to get the vehicle at a massive discount. But also, I think these events are quite fun, and I think it gives an opportunity for players who don't have a lot going on and don't have much money to be able to have something to do and to be able to get a vehicle for free. And it also is fair for the players who want to spend some money and support the game at the same time. Yeah, I think all in all, it's a pretty cool thing that Wargaming do here. And hopefully I'm helping all of you decide where your price point is for where you're saving your time, so to say. All right, next up, I want to show you how this challenge compares in difficulty to the previous challenge, the Object 274A. We can see that it's a little bit easier, actually. I estimate on my free-to-play account that I'm going to have to play for 5.56 hours per day, which makes it substantially harder than the EBR and the TS5 were. Gosh, can you remember how easy those mission marathons were? But pretty much on par with this, should we say, new generation of mission marathons, which have been massively harder than the TS5, for example. And while it should be, in theory, be just a little bit easier than the Object 274A or even the Renegade, let's be honest, a player like me on a free-to-play account is still going to have to spend about 5 hours per day grinding to be able to get this tank for free. And once again, as always, I'd like to clarify that if you've got better things to do at this time, don't feel pressured to do this mission marathon. It's just a tank. There's lots of Chinese tanks inside the game. The Type 59 is arguably just as good, if not better, than this vehicle. Wouldn't say the same for the 59 pattern, though, and the T-34-3 with its preferential matchmaking is actually in a really good position as well. This isn't the be-all, end-all vehicle that if you don't get, that you're going to completely suck at World of Tanks. But if on the other hand, like me, you're a little bit bored and you're twiddling your thumbs in a lockdown just waiting for it to end, then maybe this will be the one for you. I also want to reiterate the same advice that I give for every single mission marathon, and that you have to approach this with discipline. You have to plan it out. It is not enough to just go at this without a plan. You are having to invest substantial amounts of time, as I have highlighted in this table. For example, even if you're playing like me on my main account, every day that you don't play means that the next day you're going to have to play between 7 and 8 hours. It's not as if the event stops. Figure out where you land on this table and just put the time in, and don't leave it until the last few days, or you might burn out, you might get sick, or you might regret it. One thing that I've done to be able to make this mission marathon a little bit fun for me, for example, is I looked on my free-to-play account to see what kind of tanks I could possibly be able to get. I saw that I had a lot of blueprints for Czech mediums. Maybe I want to get a Chinese medium as well to be able to put the Brothers in Arms crew that you get from completing this challenge in. Maybe I'll even try and do the French lights, because they're still going to be top of the tree, at least for the next week. Possibly the M46 pattern, maybe a 430U, and even, I don't know, a T95, because I'll put my TS5 crew from that last challenge that are now really well trained up in a T95 just for a little bit of fun. And once again, it's just about knowing what you're getting yourself in for and being able to schedule and to be disciplined to be able to get your prize if that is what you want. And hopefully this video was useful for you to be able to see exactly how much time you're going to have to put into the challenge if you want to get the vehicle, or alternatively, how many different stages you should try and achieve before getting out your credit card as well. If it was helpful and you enjoyed this video and I did the hard work so you didn't have to, then make sure you give the video a thumbs up. But if you hated it and you think my analysis is a bunch of garbage, then give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments whether you are going to undertake the Lunar Challenge this time round. And yeah, I'd also just like to announce in this video, I'm going to be attempting it on my free-to-play account as well. So starting This Friday, I am going to be streaming pretty much about 5 hours of World of Tanks on the free-to-play account every single day for the next 10-day period. And so come along if you want to see whether I can still win some of my battles without having exceptionally skilled crews, or firing copious amounts of gold rounds, or using premium consumables, for which I've actually never used on the account at all. There's definitely going to be blood, sweat and tears put into this one. And also, if you want to know what the actual vehicle is like, then stay tuned. There's going to be a tank review coming very soon to the channel of the 122 TM, so you can also gauge whether it's worth grinding. So that's it for today, ladies and gents. Really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, stay tuned. I've got more great stuff coming. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.